And we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Wise Old Broads, where we listen to older women over the age of 60 share their wisdom jewels, share their beauty about life, and all of the amazing things that they have to share with just anybody, not even necessarily younger women, with each other, too. So today I have a very special guest. I'm actually really excited about her, who she is. I talked to her for the first time a couple of weeks ago. And when I did, I was enthralled. I was like, oh my gosh, you have lived several lives, lady. You've lived several lives. And I'm so pleased and so blessed and so grateful to present her to you all. Her name is Dr. Candy Lewis Williams. She is a naturopathic doctor. She's a trichologist. She is a WAB, and she is a horse of many colors. So I would like you guys to welcome Dr. Candy.
Hey.
Hi, Dr. Candy. How are you?
I'm well. How are you? And thanks for having me.
Absolutely. You look lovely.
Oh, thank you.
You're so very welcome. Dr. Candy.
Glasses.
Huh?
I love your glasses.
Oh, thank you. I need them to see. I need them to see. Can you share, first of all, how old are you?
65. I'll turn 65 in June.
Okay, so you just made 65 and you look fantastic.
Yeah.
Where are you from originally?
I am originally from Dayton, Ohio, which is southern Ohio, about 50 miles north of Cincinnati.
Okay, so that's Midwest.
It's Midwest.
Okay, Midwest girl at heart?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I've lived on the East Coast as well. I grew up partly on the East Coast, but Ohio is home. Yeah, I think I'm a Midwest girl.
Okay, fantastic. So I was introduced to you by a friend.
Yeah.
And I saw that you were on her broadcast too. And I was like, because she had talked about Dr. Candy so much. Dr. Candy, Dr. Candy. She's like, you should have Dr. Candy come on.
So I can hang around you guys.
So I was like, okay, well, let me check out Dr. Candy. And I was like, when we had our first conversation, I was like, whoa, lady. Don't say too much because I need you on this broadcast to share all the wisdom that you have with so many other young women.
You know, it's funny when you talk about sharing wisdom, and I always think of people that are older than me that have wisdom, because I feel like you feel about me, I feel that way about other people. So you never stop learning about life. You never get there. And if you think you're there, you got a problem.
That's true. That's true.
Stop growing.
What is your background in?
Originally education.
Okay.
K through 12 learning disabilities major out of Wright State University in Dayton, Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
And I always wanted to have my own business. And I come from a long line of hairstylists as well as educators. And my mother, of course, she grew up, both her parents were barber beauticians, graduated from Madam C.J. Walker's.
Wow.
Yeah. I actually saw the diploma. And my grandparents were alive, till after I had my children. And she encouraged me to go to college and get my degree. She said that the hair business is a hard business. You're on your feet a lot. You're not home with your family. You're usually in the salon when people are sitting down to dinner or coming home from work. That's where you so-called catch your business, is after work.
Wow.
So, but the creative side of me still wanted that. And I actually went into the hair industry, went back to school, beauty school at 30. It happened for lots of different reasons. And long and short of it, I don't regret it. It was one of the best things that I've ever done. But in a sense, I've come full circle. I started naturopathy about, I think, 10 years in. to my cosmetology because I saw people that really needed more help.
Wow.
Hair was changing, skin was changing. A lot of people were having these issues, and I knew, when you get to know people, because your stylist is like your psychologist, your bartender. You see them on a regular basis, and you talk and that kind of thing. So I started seeing changes, but I also started knew there were changes going on in their lives. I knew that they were
Mm.
some potential health problems, stress problems, and the like. So.
Okay.
Caused me to want to go deeper. I started, I didn't actually go into naturopathy right away. I started taking aromatherapy. I had a Veda salon concept
Oh, okay.
back then. And so they had essential oils and, they were into the herbs and still are, but I wanted much more. And so it just evolved. And I'm taking classes now still.
See, so okay, so there's so much that you just gave to me to
Yeah, I'm an
unpack.
herbalist. It just started with, you finish one course and you pick up the next course and the next course and the next course, and went to seminary.
But it all started with you literally touching people's heads
Mm-hmm,
and looking at their health
mm-hmm.
and seeing what needed to be done and what needs to be changed. You mentioned that hair was changing, skin was changing. Around what time was this and how?
Usually I began to see on the average, I started seeing it around a time a woman turned about 35, 40-ish.
Okay. So it wasn't a specific year, but as a specific.
No, it's a particular phase in a woman's life, and usually with us, it's our periods. We have a cycle, and so
Mhm.
when the cycle starts to change, things change.
True.
Overall, and just like when a woman starts her period, or when a young girl starts a period, we typically can see, she gets a little attitude or whatever. Well, you get that same attitude
I have a
when,
15-year-old around
when
me.
you go through premenopause, it's just a shift. Life shifts. Yeah.
Got it. Got it. And I
So
wonder
all these
if
things change.
it makes sense. So the interesting part about it is that I believe you're an African American woman. We have
Mm-hmm.
always had a connection with herbs.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think we ever really kind of like had the knowledge of I mean, of course it wasn't about scholastic knowledge. You knew which worked for what and just go ahead and get a little salve and this, that, and the
Well, I will
other.
tell you something interesting you and I hadn't talked about, because I know we're both women of faith.
Mm-hmm.
But it's interesting, when I started going through my coursework, a lot of the people that you come across are not all Christian.
Mm.
I could talk long past, we could go 3 or 4, 5, 6 shows talking about back and forth. I'm not
Mm.
end all be all to knowledge, but I remember feeling that the church would reject me, the knowledge I'm having,
Wow.
because especially the Black church, we rely still very heavily on not traditional, allopathic medicine, meaning MD, regular, Walgreens. This, when our Black doctors, we elevate them in the community, and rightfully so, to get your PhD and those kinds of things. But they become these little gods, and whatever
Yeah.
they say is truth. And I'm not saying I'm very complimentary. I'm very much allopathic and naturopathic, because they both have their place. But we've forgotten
Mm-hmm.
what we didn't pass it down. We didn't learn. And what's happened over time in many cultures, people like myself would have been considered witch doctors,
Yeah. Yeah.
in terms of how we practice. My faith is in Jesus Christ, but I know God created all these things. So I can go on that. But that's one of those things that kind of, I felt like I was stumbling, kind of a stumbling block to for me and hold me down. But all things are, work out for those who good, for those who love the Lord, because what it did is make me go back. I went to seminary. And I
Wow.
said I wanted to be grounded in biblical principles because I was meeting so many different people in class, whether it was my instructors or other students who were not Christian. And their faith and their belief were in crystals and all kinds of other things that I knew I was going to have a problem with. So
Right.
it's just learning. You're just constantly learning.
But you know, it's interesting that you said that, because I do believe that there is it's a thin line, but I believe that the Lord is kind of positioning us to get back to the natural things, because big pharma is a very big, real thing. People are sick,
Yeah.
even on medications. They are sick. They are dying while still on medications. We're eating things that are not good for our bodies, that our bodies can't ingest, that our bodies can't take and handle. So there is a lot to it. But what I love about it is going back to how it initially started, was because you came from like a generational thing of women doing each other's hair. And you were able to see the health and the help within that to change and transform women in the way they look at
Yeah.
themselves.
Yeah. And then, you're talking about the wisdom that we get from one another. Wise old broad. Well, first of all, I remember talking to ladies who would tell me, really don't pay a whole lot of attention to anyone that's not over the age of 50. They haven't lived long enough. And there's some truth to that, except for technology and some, nowadays there's definite shift in who to listen to. We need each other. My business name, am I going sideways here?
We're going which way. Look, we're this.
My business name is called the Lotus Concept. And the concept is really about understanding how a lotus grows and develops. And a lotus typically grows in a pond amongst other lotuses. And it's the only flower in nature that actually will produce and will mature, and well, not fully mature, but will spread her seeds. Most flowers will not reseed until they're fully mature. She will actually reseed before she's fully mature. And so there's this constant interchange going on within the pond of lotuses where they're sharing. And so what we're doing is, you and I are like two lotuses sharing. We may be 20 or more years apart in age, but there's a level of wisdom and knowledge. You bring a level of freshness. You see what I'm saying? And I see that amongst my peers, but I also see it. We learn from our daughters. At some point, the daughter becomes the mother.
Sure.
In a relationship. But when it comes to, you and I were talking about, we were doing a little test run. We were talking about relationships like male-female relationships. And one of the things I realized when I was having a challenge with my husband very recently, because we just moved. Men, they say women are the receivers, men are the givers, and some of us have trouble receiving. We're receiving sexually, but we also need to receive. We need to learn back. We need to sit back and learn how to be queens. Now, I'm not talking about divas, femme fatales, where, I just can't do anything, and you got to do me, and I just, my husband was attracted to me because I was moving and shaking. But then when I had to learn to adjust and allow him to tell me, allow him to do for me. And it's like learning to drive. You got the brake and the accelerator, and it's like learning how to take your foot off and match their speed, and know when to put the brake on when you're out, and you may not be wrong in what you're doing, but you have to allow them to be their egos. They have, like, we don't have the same issues sometimes, and it's what makes them a man, I think, and what makes us a woman. So I said, okay, my mother, my stepfather, who's passed away, he was a psychologist. I remember him telling me years ago, you got to be a little bit more like your mother. He said, you know, she's always on her period. And I said, well, what are you talking about? He said, well, you know, when women get on their period, they just don't feel well and they just can't do it. And they want you to do it for them. My mother is 90 years old, and I swear she still has a period. She still He said, just sit back and let the man do it sometimes, even if they're doing it wrong. Like your kids, let them make up their bed. Don't ever go behind them and make up the bed behind them. Let them be right sometime. I'm like, Lord, this is rough.
How long ago did he tell you that?
Huh?
How long ago did he tell you that?
Oh, girl, years. I had to be in my late 20s, early 30s. I'm still trying to figure it out, but I'm on a different marriage. You know, I was married 25 years.
Wow.
And then divorced for 15 years or so. Then I remarried. And so some of the challenges I have is, first of all, I was single. I was single most of the 25 years I was married. Okay.
Okay.
So we don't need to go into, you know, that's okay. So, and then I was truly single and I was moving shaky in my business. I've been on Dr. Oz. I mean, I had really mountaintop experiences. And then I get married, and this sounds really bad. I don't want to say you have to dumb me down, because I don't think a man really wants that. But in some ways, you have to put the brake on and allow the man to take the lead in some areas. So, yeah.
That makes complete sense. They are, you know, wired to be leaders.
Yeah. But so are we. I don't, you know, because this is, you know, the year 2000. We're almost going in the year 2021. And so I think in relationships, there's a wisdom, and each woman has to find her way. Just like you put on a bra and you learn how to, you know, walk in pumps, certain, you know, you have to find your own way. You can't design it after what someone else says. But there is truth to a lot of what older men and women say. In terms about a successful relationship between a man and a woman.
It's a couple of things that you mentioned. First of all, I love that you said the diva and the femme fatale, because there is a mindset right now and a movement that a lot of women, especially African-American women, because there has been this idea like we come from struggle and we tired of struggling. We want a high level man or a high class man, this, that, and the other. And I'm tired of working and I want to be taken care of. Granted, those things are amazing.
I have one of those. I have one of those.
You have one of those, but at the same time, you have you just said you were moving and shaking. You have the accolades, you have the wherewithal to get your own stuff done. You're not just sitting around waiting for Mr. Right. And I will never forget, years ago, somebody had told me, she was like, look, Anja, Prince Charming is not coming. She said he ain't coming on a white horse. He ain't riding through. You know, he's not riding through. He's not coming. So in a sense, she was telling me, get it together. And I completely agree. She wasn't even like, I think she was like 10 years older than me, but I still hold on to that. And even now, so in my life, I'm in an area where I'm learning how to be a helpmeet. There's a difference between a helpmeet and a doormat and a person who is just kind of waiting for somebody to come and rescue them because her head is in the cloud, like where he at.
Yeah. No. Yeah. You know, there's men that I think it's about the character. There's no one perfect. The only human that walked this earth that I know of was Jesus Christ, that was perfect.
Amen.
So it's a matter of understanding who we are, what our needs are, what are our needs, our wants. You know what? This was one of the things that stuck with me. I had an investment advisor years ago. In between, he was there before our marriage, my first marriage, and he passed away. But one of the things that he said to me in his marriage, He said his father taught him to recognize the woman's needs before she even knows she has them. And I thought, whoa, there is so much truth to that. Now, there's a difference between needs and wants. My husband takes care of my needs. Does he take care of all my wants? No, because he doesn't know how. He doesn't, and I won't say he doesn't know how. There's certain things we have to take care of our wants for ourselves. We should be able to take care of our needs, because if something happens to him, or God forbid our marriage, either one, I still have to take care of myself. So I'm capable, but he takes care of me and I take care of him. I take good care of him.
I think that's beautiful. That's the way it's supposed to go. And there's almost a part of me, there's a part of me that doesn't think somebody should completely take care of everything, because we are human beings, and we'll start probably kind of looking at that person like the God, like, and then they will become in that place where the Lord is, and that becomes idolatry, and we just don't want that, because
yeah, and they tend to want us. There's a part of them that wants us to look at them that way too, I think. Yeah.
As gods. Yeah. They definitely want to be, what I've noticed, they definitely want to be the hero. I will say that.
The hero and a God are two different things. So, true. Yeah, and I think sometimes you have to almost just kind of like, fall to the floor and act like you've fallen so they can come save you. That's my mother. My mother's that.
Look, she's a wise woman.
She really is. She's a
wise woman. Mm-hmm. So, Dr. Candy, you are 65 years old. You have had so many careers.
Yeah.
How? And I say this meaning I know it's broad, but what I mean is, it sounds like you have done everything that you have been capable to do, and still more and more. How did you have the wherewithal to do that? How did you have the focus to do it? And when did you know enough was enough in one career?
Oh, okay. Right now, I would say I knew enough was enough when it came to the hair industry. I stayed in the hair industry because it paid me well. Loved it, still love it. I don't look at it as a beneath, and the naturopath is higher. They both actually went together. It helped me find trichology, which is hair loss. Because in order to work with a person, male or female, with hair loss, I need to work internally with them. Okay. And it goes past just topical treatments, which is a big topic. What was the question?
No, it was just like, how did you know?
How did I know? I don't, it's an ebb and flow. Mm-hmm. Business, for one thing, a very wise friend of mine told me, business is like a wave, and you're on the West Coast. So mm-hmm. Watch a surfer. You have to know how to catch the wave and ride it out. The wave may not even be their favorite wave, i.e. business. Mm-hmm. But entrepreneurs love business. And so they just enjoy riding that wave and making the money. That's their payoff. Now, someone else, this is a discussion that 4, 5, 6 other people could be having. I always have been in the business of self-help, beautification, self-improvement, everything I do, wellness. I'm a healer. So mm-hmm. I think, to answer your question, I don't know. I just get on the surfboard and ride it out. But my surfboard is not necessarily, it is an entrepreneur, but it's more, I'm a healer. I'm not the healer. God is the healer, but God has given me the gift of healing. So pretty much everything I've done has been centered around the wellness industry. Mm-hmm. And we are such complex human beings that you can't just do it all with essential oils. You can't just do it all with this one line of vitamins. You can't do it all. It's so many things that an individual might need or be directed toward. So I just keep asking questions and keep trying to learn.
How do you keep your own self healthy and fit? Because you're beautiful.
My back would be hurting if I practice what I preach. Well, this, at least I know where to go when my back hurts. Okay.
Okay.
I have a chiropractor, and I do my own yoga and those kind of things. What I like to practice is meditation, which
Mm-hmm.
everything pretty much I practice, I teach for the most, well, except for yoga. I look at yoga for the stretching. I like emotional freedom technique has been a game changer for me and those people I've worked with and those people that are colleagues of mine in
Can
terms of
you expand on that a little bit?
emotional freedom technique. Um, how do I give the elevator speech? Basically, you're learning to tap on reflex points,
Okay.
and there's a script. I'm going wrong. There's a script,
Uh-huh.
but it's not a script that I give you. It's, if I'm teaching you the technique, I teach you the technique, but there's, at some point, a person may need a practitioner to work with them to help them through issues. And we find, instead of, the name it, claim it, don't name it, don't claim. Like, if I have this pain, I'm not going to talk about this pain I'm having, because that means I'm going to keep having it. That has been scientifically proven not to work. That, don't name it, don't claim it. We acknowledge what we have. We acknowledge, and as we work through these particular issues, we find that other things bubble up, and we get to the root of the pain in my back. Typically pain in the body can be caused by an injury, but it also can be caused by emotional, physical stress. It can be caused by toxins. There's a lot of things. So I like emotional freedom technique because I can use that. I can use herbs. I can use yoga, meditation, and a lot of other forms of what we call energy psychology.
Okay.
To get to the root of help the individual get to the root. Because the goal is, I'm a coach and I coach them in something. I'm not having to have them continually, like, if I have this pain in my back, which could be arthritic, but it also is a weak point of the body. So when there's stress, when I have a certain level of stress, that's where the pain will go. It goes to the weakest area. So it will, my back will act out.
Got you. Okay. I have heard of the emotional release technique before, and
Yeah.
I'm glad that you just reiterated it,
I
because
would love to talk about it. I'm in the process of finishing up my certification. It's a bit of a long process, and it works. If you've ever heard of EMDR,
I have.
only therapists can use that. Licensed psychologists can use it. They found that EFT is actually as effective. And actually, some of the research, even with post-traumatic stress, some of the research was done right here I'm in Temple, Texas, which is very close to Fort Hood.
Okay.
Some of the research that was done by Dawson Church, who was actually one of my instructors and mentors, he did some of the research right here at Fort Hood on soldiers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So I believe that this will be really good for a really good technique for women, especially as we just handle and deal with everything that's going on in this world. A very amazing technique for anybody who's dealing with, for all of us, because we're all dealing with the effects of social injustice.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Big time. What this is in a nutshell. We don't really say it like this, but I am.
Okay.
What it does is help you get to a level of forgiveness. We have what's called cognitive shifts in terms of how we see things. For instance, we can be outraged by watching someone suffocated, basically lynched by in the town square, and which was what happened to George Floyd. that can cause some people a certain level of trauma.
Yes.
You can actually work through, and some of the trauma may be based on an earlier trauma in your life. People that are easily traumatized typically have had a trauma. They found that soldiers are typically more susceptible to post-traumatic stress if they grew up with certain amounts of stress. If they had previous trauma in their lives, they are more easily re-traumatized or traumatized.
Okay.
Now, psychologists may find a better way of saying it than I am. But so what I'm saying, we all have trauma. You don't have to be in a war to have trauma. We've all had, most of us have experienced some level of trauma. It's how many traumas have you had? And yes, you can work through these things. And these are just God, as far as I'm concerned, God-given tools.
Yeah. Yeah, that part, they're just God-given tools. So I have a few questions because,
Okay. Okay.
Because we could literally just talk here all day long, and
yeah,
we have. But someone wanted to know natural herbs or techniques that they can have for hypothyroidism.
Wow. Okay. With hyperthyroid, I usually look at the blood work because when you look at you said hyper or hypo? Hypo. Okay. That's a low functioning thyroid. Usually there are about 26 different patterns to thyroid and thyroid dysfunction. Okay. So in other words, there's like 26 patterns to the thyroid actually operating optimally. So when it's not optimally, can't say it.
It's okay.
It's dysfunctional. Okay. Then there are usually, we have to look at 26 different ways. But typically I can narrow it down to 7. I look at the blood work and see where it's everyone's hypothyroid or hyper, but everyone's hypothyroid is not the same. Okay. And so that's why there's different medications. But generally, from a natural standpoint, I look at what they're eating. Typically, a gluten-free diet is recommended for any thyroid condition, hyper or hypo. I look at any other food sensitivities. I look at their hormone levels. I look at their cortisol levels, because the thyroid will produce a little bit of adrenal and a little bit of estrogen. And so if there's a challenge within that neuroendocrine system, which is what the thyroid's a part of, that system, it will try to step in. And so in order to help support the thyroid, you want to make sure it's not, in a sense, helping take over for another part of that system. So that's one thing we're looking at. There's a lot of different herbal support, but I always look at the gut as a naturopath. I want to see how they're digesting. That's a general question, you know, and I don't have like a one, like, okay, take this herb and everything's going to be okay.
Right.
Are they on support already? Are they on hormone support, thyroid hormone support? Because and I want to see what their numbers are, what their TSH levels, their T4, T3, reverse T4 and T3. I always like to get a full antibody to make sure that they're not showing signs of possible hyperthyroid, because it can fluctuate. Typically, when I say gluten-free, typically they're going to be dairy-free as well. And if it's an African-American community, about high 80% of the Black community or African descent community does not digest dairy very well. Wow. So it's a lot of ways of looking at it. It's not just one.
Okay.
But if someone really wanted to support, if they wanted to make one change that's general, I would say gluten-free, dairy-free.
So dairy, I hear, as you're getting ready to go through this,
Mhm.
dairy is not healthy for, is it mostly just African American descent or African descent people, or is it any and everybody?
It's a lot of people, but they're finding in the Black community, for instance, typically we don't digest dairy. It's actually a genetic thing between the cow and the human because there's certain, cows that typically,
Markers. Mhm.
yeah, they don't have it's a lectin. Uh, we don't have the lectins to digest their milk. Sometimes we can tolerate goat and cheese,
Mhm.
which is a little better. So camel milk, believe it or not. It's,
Interesting. I don't know why I'm like, I mean, if we're drinking from a cow, why not a camel?
yeah, but like I don't do dairy, can't do dairy at all.
I
And
recently gave it up.
it took me years. I didn't just eventually, it was years, and then I stopped tolerating it hardly at all. Eczema, different things like that started happening. And I have autoimmune disease, not thyroid, but I have autoimmune disease. And so some of the recommendations in general, dairy is one of those most people probably will. But I will test. Because some people say, before I give up my ice cream, I want to really know.
Okay.
Sorry, the leaf blower guy is out here. Sorry.
No worries.
Um, so anyway, okay, go on, man. Did you hear that?
I can hear it. It's okay because there were dogs barking every week. I don't know why at this time planes fly and dogs bark. So
Yeah.
it's okay.
So yeah, but again, there are 7 basic markers. So when someone asks me that, I want to see their blood work.
Okay.
I want to know how long has it been not dysfunctional,
Okay.
dysregulated. And then I see how I can support, so stress is a big part, like we were talking about the emotional freedom technique. So giving people different techniques to help, because when your thyroid is like an air traffic controller. And you can't have that man or that woman step away from the tower while your plane's trying to land. So when these hormones are trying to land, and you're basically it has so many functions the thyroid does, but one of the main functions is warming you up. That's why people feel cold.
Yeah.
It actually is responsible for converting, partial converting of the T4 to T3, which is a usable part of the thyroid. So, and that conversion is done in the liver as well as in the gut.
So the gut is the main source of all of this stuff. I have heard that the gut is like a second brain.
It is. Yeah. It's your second brain.
So your recommendations are for us to get our gut together first, and
well, I look at it first. I always want to know, how is your digestion? How's your elimination? I have a whole. If you go to my website, I have quite a few consultation forms, and so there's different things I'm looking for, red flags on the play, so to speak, yellow and red flags.
Right.
And, and I'm looking for green, because if things are good, then let's keep it moving. And some people think that they're operating well when they're not.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, they're not.
Okay.
But, okay. So that's hopefully answered that in general.
I think you gave people exactly what they need to move forward. There are so many factors here that it's impossible to just say, okay, take this one thing. And I think it's also kind of irresponsible just to say, oh, take this if you have this.
I was going to say that testing is so important. It can be expensive. Yes, I work with if the person has insurance and they've already got a certain amount of testing. I look at what the doctor's taken, and then you have to understand the insurance. I won't say a game, because it's not, but they will only pay for so much. The doctor can't write a prescription or he can't ask for something that the insurance is not going to pay for. It actually flags him as a doctor if he really asks for something that he knows the insurance isn't going to pay for. So a lot of things what I do is out of pocket. But I'm in a co-op where what you end up paying for the test, and I don't upcharge for tests, but what you end up paying for the test is pretty much a copay.
Okay.
So there's a lot of options out here that people don't necessarily know about. And then I do a lot of what they call specialty tests. So the doctors typically don't order these.
Perfect.
You go to blood work, you go get the same blood draws to some degree. It's not me doing it in my kitchen.
Right.
But you get a report, and the report, a doctor can read it. You can take it back to your doctor.
Okay. So question, top 3 things just to move towards health. Because we're all getting older, this, that, and the other. 3 recommendations that you would have for somebody to just start walking in the direction of health.
Ooh.
Top 3.
I'm a body, soul, spirit person.
Mm-hmm.
So the 3 things would be, and so you didn't, these would have been questions I would have wanted to have to really give the wise old broad question.
Oh, okay.
I should have said this or should have said
It's okay. We can bring you back. That's fine.
Off the top of my head, your spiritual connection is key. Not that it's the only thing. But a good spiritual connection, whatever your belief is, because not everyone on here may be a Christian. Mm-hmm. But you practice what you believe.
Yeah.
Your soul, as far as the character of an individual and how you feel, right from wrong, which is always being, is for those of us who are in the body of Christ, know that the laws have come down. We've got a manual, the Bible, that tells us what we should do. And that helps keep that soul in check. Our relationships with one another, I'm about healing those. Not that all my relationships at all are perfect. My kids don't like me. They don't call me. They don't answer my texts. But I'm learning from my wise old broads, and my father's 91, just turned 91 last weekend. He's still, very much with us. He's not suffering from dementia at all.
That's a blessing.
And I learned from him in terms of relationships and really operating in integrity.
Okay.
And then the body, keeping your body healthy, meaning you got to fuel your body. We treat our cars, most of us probably treat our cars and our designer bags and shoes better than we treat our body. We camouflage ourselves. Mm-hmm. Make sure we have on makeup, jewelry, the right clothing, whatever. But when you take it off and you're naked, not that we don't like ourselves or like ourselves naked, but what are we hiding?
Right.
Wow. And so making sure that we're healthy are the key. So to me, I've worked with people that are athletes. You would think they're in excellent health, but have no spiritual connection at all. And their souls are empty.
Right.
In a sense, it's not going to take them long to run down.
Wow. Well, you know what, Dr. Candy, I want to say thank you so much for coming and sharing the wisdom. I know you may feel like, but I
feel like I was all over the place as usual.
And that's, what? It's A-okay, because we are complex individuals. I truly appreciate you. I would love if you came back on, because I probably will have some reoccurring folks come back on here and drop wisdom whenever they want to, because we need it in this world.
Well, I think it's wise of you to even do these. Yeah.
Thank you.
What a blessing.
Thank you so much. All right. Well, you have a good one. I will talk to you soon.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Oh, wait. One before we go, I left your website link in here so that people can contact you if they need to. Your contact information is all on your website. And
sign up for the newsletter and send me an email and let me know what questions you might have, because what I need to do is probably put these things I have a blog site, that kind of thing. So
okay, so you guys could check out her blog site, check out her website, and definitely sign up for her newsletter. You're going to learn so much, and she is a healer. God gave her the gift of healing. So have a good one, Dr. Candy.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And you guys, that is the episode for today. Wise Old Broads. I am so very grateful that there are women who have just lived, and we get a chance to keep gleaning and listening and watching and loving it all. So thanks for tuning in, and tune in next time to another episode of Wise Old Broads. And I will leave her information in the link. I believe I already did, but in case you didn't see it, go ahead and tap in. Bye.